Hey there everyone, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all the lovely messages that everyone sent to me and my other family members. If you don't know already, my grandma very sadly passed away a few weeks ago. So yeah, I've been taking some time off to just mourn and grieve, and yeah, it's come at such a probably the wrong time in the nicest way. I'm currently loving what I'm doing on YouTube, and I was really debating how long I would take this break. I actually went on holiday last week with my family, and all of a sudden today or a few days ago I've been wanting to make videos again. So yeah, as I mentioned, a massive thank you to everyone who sent messages, and also just giving me your support, not just recently in my YouTube videos, but also for some of you who have been here since the very start in 2021. I appreciate every single one of you, my family as well, who support me in my YouTube. Also my girlfriend Abby, who is the most amazing person in my life as well. So yeah, a huge thank you to everyone for your messages. And now, rest in peace, Grandma. And now let's move on to the video. Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Elliot Webber, and welcome to episode 5 of my TCR UK race roundup. Yeah, that is right, we are firmly in on the second half of the 2023 TCR UK Championship season, and oh my days, what a pair of races we had at the recent round at Silverstone last weekend. Absolutely unreal. This has possibly been my favourite round this year of TCR UK. The racing was absolutely immense. It was unreal. Words simply cannot describe how much excitement I was feeling watching these races. Even though in the first race we had a repeat winner, I don't think that matters, because even though we might have some repeat winners now and again in TCR and even in other touring car championships, the excitement and the action is still there. So let's talk about that excitement and action. First off, with qualifying. So qualifying, which happened on the previous Saturday, or the Saturday of the event, and yeah, again, of course, it was Silverstone. Silverstone is one of my favourite tracks. I've actually grown to love it in my years of watching touring car racing around there, and even in other categories like Formula 1, Formula 2, and obviously the World Endurance Championship many years ago as well. But yeah, Silverstone seemingly always delivers now, and it delivered another great qualifying session and some very unexpected names at the front of the grid, but it was a welcome surprise nonetheless. But, well, I couldn't be more happier as Adam Shepherd took pole position for the first time in 2023, the second ever pole of his career. Something that, for me, as an Adam Shepherd fan, of course, if I haven't mentioned already, both me and Adam are Essex boys. So yeah, once again, to see the Essex boys on pole at the front, it meant a lot to me. So yeah, and also as well, given Adam Shepherd's situation with, of course, not having the deepest pockets on the grid, he of course is not the richest man in the world. Of course, at the start of the year, if you haven't watched my interview already, please give that a watch with Adam at the start of the year at Snetterton. He did say that at the start of the year he only had the money to do rounds, to only do 2 or 3 rounds, but now thankfully he has got that sponsorship money, so he is able to complete the season. And something that has come really at the right time to be making pole position, because of course, as we know, he is actually a championship contender. Whilst he hasn't won any races yet, that consistency, which I mentioned in the previous video as consistency rewards you, Adam's consistency has put him currently, well, before Silverstone, he was currently 3rd in the championship. So a really great pole position, and of course prize money as well, which will really help him financially. Second place was Bruce Winfield, and a very, very crucial second place for Bruce. He was actually set for pole for the majority of the session before, of course, Adam Shepherd came out of nowhere and stole pole from him. But yeah, Bruce, as I mentioned, he seems to be the best, one of the best drivers on the grid now that he's in a high-end die. Of course, I think whilst he had a lot of raw speed in his Cupra from a few years ago. Now that he's in that Hyundai, he is certainly a championship contender, a solid championship contender at that. So yeah, second place for Bruce, great to see. And then P3 would be Honda's Scott SUMPTON. Yeah, that is right, Scott SUMPTON, someone who I haven't really spoken about this year on my race roundups. That's because unfortunately he hasn't really been at the front or really in the fight to talk about him, but now I can finally talk about him. A career best qualifying P3 in his FK8 Honda Civic Type R, and once again an Essex boy, so really great to see. Yeah, brilliant stuff for Scott. You know, I feel like his whole weekend was brilliant, despite the fact that he probably didn't get the results he deserved in races 1 and 2. Of course, a penalty in race 1, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, to see Scott up there, especially in the old shape Civic, which is seemingly as well also seems to be having issues, as well as Chris Smiley's car having some issues, his new shape FL5. But yeah, to see Honda, of course, myself as well, for those of you who don't know, I am a massive Honda fan, so to see Honda as well up there, it's really great to see. So my top 3, well, the top 3 for qualifying at Silverstone from TCR UK was Adam Shepherd for Area Motorsport, Bruce Winfield for Area Motorsport, and then Scott SUMPTON for Restart Racing Honda. Now, my stars of the session, massive emphasis on the plural, because we are giving my stars of the session with 2 drivers in mind today, and that is, well, Scott SUMPTON and Oliver Cottam. These 2 both get my stars of the session for qualifying. Why? Well, for Scott SUMPTON, as I mentioned, P3, best career qualifying in his sophomore season of TCR, fully deserved it. He's been driving the socks off that Honda recently, and of course drove the socks off of it at Silverstone, so a great result to see from him. And yeah, and again, as for Oliver Cottam, he is seemingly someone who's been having an actual fairly decent rookie season. Of course, as we know, Oliver, the youngest driver on the grid, so of course there wasn't really any big expectations for Oliver this year, but the man this year has performed brilliantly, I think, and I think Silverstone once again was 100% his best weekend so far. And of course, as I mentioned, Oliver, his best qualifying of the season in P5, thoroughly deserved. So congratulations to Scott and Oliver. They both get my stars of the session. So yeah, top 3, Shepherd, Winfield and SUMPTON. Now, let's move on to race number 1. So race number 1, and what a first race it was at Silverstone. Unfortunately, I have to start off with a bit of sadness, and Adam Shepherd, who led the race for pretty much the first half, some again more issues with that Hyundai meant that he DNF'd from the race, something that is incredibly disappointing. Adam Shepherd, in my opinion, is the most unluckiest driver on the grid, because if he can't get on the grid, he obviously can't race. But then when he does have the money to be on the grid, something with the car goes wrong, and then once they fix that issue with the car has another issue. It's something that is incredibly disappointing, because again, if we are being honest here, Adam Shepherd should have won that first race. He should have won a few races, I think, this year, had it not been for mechanical or reliability. And again, as I said it, Adam Shepherd should be fighting for this championship. He is someone who is a mega talent, and we see it a lot with Paul O'Neill, who says on the commentary, Adam Shepherd is one, when it comes to raw speed, Adam Shepherd is one of the best on the grid. And it's a shame. I'm going to sound biased because I am a fan of Adam Shepherd, but come on, you have to feel sorry for him at some point. I really hope Adam Shepherd does fix these issues with the car for Donington and Brands, because I do believe he is still in with a shout, an outside chance, but I do think he still has a chance of becoming TCR UK champion. So, if it wasn't Adam Shepherd who won, well, who was it? Was it Bruce Winfield? No, because Bruce Winfield also DNF'd. I believe it was some type of suspension issue, or I believe it was the toe link or the suspension broke on Bruce Winfield's Hyundai, which meant it was a double DNF at Area Motorsport. So, who won the race, you're probably asking? Well, Who else was it going to be? Carl Boardley took another win. I believe that was his 4th win in 5 races. Superb consistency from Carl Boardley this year. Unreal performance by someone who, let's not forget, is actually a rookie in TCR UK. You might not know it by the way he's been driving, but of course we're used to him seeing racing touring cars in a different series, which I will not talk about in case Stuart Lyons cuts my head off. But yeah, Carl Boardley, as we've known, is a mega talent, of course, a multiple-time stock car world champion. So yeah, he knows how to drive a car, he knows how to pedal it, and as I've mentioned again in Knockhill, unreal consistency, and consistency alone is what will help you win a touring car championship. So again, mega consistency from Carl Boardley. In P2 it was Jenson Brickley. Now Jenson Brickley is someone who I think has been quietly been making his way in TCR UK. Of course he has got that sole victory which he achieved at Croft in his 4th ever race. And yeah, I think, of course, he has had a few podiums here and there. He, of course, was fighting for the win. Did technically win a race at Knockhill before he lost it due to a penalty. And in fact, we will talk about more Jenson Brickley penalties in race 2. But yeah, Jenson Brickley, again, he is someone who, honestly, I didn't have high expectations for. I wasn't expecting him to be where he is. In fact, I was actually expecting him to be somewhere near the back. And that's purely because I had no knowledge of Jenson Brickley before TCR UK. But ever since he's been in TCR UK, he has just been up there, mega consistent, always up there somehow, which is of course why he is also a contender for the TCR UK Championship this year. And again, something about the rookies this year in TCR, Carl Boardley, Jenson Brickley have been my 2 standouts this year when it comes to rookies. But I think, as we know right now, Carl Boardley, in my opinion, is in a league of his own. But Jenson Brickley, 100%, we cannot fault him either. He has had a phenomenal rookie season. And honestly, I can't wait to see what he does if he comes back next year, or even moves on to Europe, or even into the TCR World Tour next year. That'd be a sight to see. So yeah, Jenson Brickley P2, and then in 3rd place was Joe Marshall. Now this was something that was quite surprising. Joe Marshall once again sneakily climbing onto the podium. I believe his 3rd podium now in his career, and of course of the season, this being his 1st season in TCR. Wow, something about the rookies this year, isn't it? But yeah, once again, great to see Joe Marshall continue his good results. Of course, sometimes he's there, sometimes he isn't, and in this case he was. So brilliant to see from Joe Marshall. Now, of course, as well, we do have to admit the Audis were supreme at Silverstone. Everyone was talking about it because the Audis are so aerodynamic, and of course Silverstone is quite an aerodynamic track. That's good, of course, of Formula 1 and other stuff like that. So I think the Audis were one of the most aerodynamic cars on the grid, which is why they were so quick. That does include Oliver Cottam and even Gary Townsend, who was fighting for top 10s as well this weekend. But yeah, I'm not going to fault, I'm not going to make excuses and just say it's because of this and that. We also cannot forget that Joe Marshall is a phenomenal driver. As same for Jack Constable, who in race 1 will get my driver of the race, and that's because he worked his way up from 12th to 4th. Now, of course, it isn't the podium, but still, that is a mega drive from someone who, as I keep mentioning, should also be in this championship fight. Jack Constable has been ever improving it with every single year he competes in TCR UK, and honestly, I'd love to see him race in the other championship, in my opinion, but who knows. TCR UK at the minute is much cheaper to run and drive in, and I'm going to be honest, at the minute is the most entertaining out of the 2. But I'm not here to create an argument. I'm not here to make comparisons. Let's just continue on with the video. So yeah, Jack Constable gets my driver of the race. And of course, your top 3 was Carl Boardley, Jenson Brickley, and Joe Marshall. Now let's move on to race number 2. And oh boy, what a race this was. There's a lot to talk about in this one, I think. Yeah. Race 2 kicked off, of course, the return to the 2-race format compared to the 3-race format we saw at Knockhill, which didn't indeed mean, well, we got the reverse grid back to normality, you could say. And of course, this means that the finishing order, or the top 10 finishing order from race 1 is flipped over and reversed, which means Matthew Wilson took pole position once again, I must say. He seems to have a habit of taking these reverse grid poles, which is something that honestly hasn't really helped him out. He's got in a few scuffles which have cost him maiden podiums. Not today, however. But yeah, even so, he's constantly consistent. He is consistent in the top 10, you could say, which of course means that, well, he can be in a position to fight for wins in these reverse grid races. So again, I'm not going to fault Matthew Wilson on that. So yeah, Matthew Wilson, well, he unfortunately would not win, but he would take his maiden podium, which we will talk about in a sec. Of course, if he didn't win, who did? Well, Alex Lee. Alex Lee would take his second win of the season, I believe. So another win for Alex Lee. Again, someone who, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been excited by this year. He came in halfway through last year, won about 78 races, was in fact a contender for the championship due to winning so many races in his rookie year, was honestly one of my stars of 2022, you could say. And he came in back this year, full season, backing from Hyundai as well, and being a Hyundai junior driver. And I did expect him as well, with the Hyundai's early pace in the start of the season. I expected him to be winning much more, and in fact, I did expect him to be in that championship fight, but he isn't for some reason. I mean, it's a little bit disappointing, especially because Alex Lee is such a good driver. But at the same time, he is still young. He still has a lot to learn. But I do think he has already matured so much, which just means that in 10, 20 years' time, Alex Lee will definitely be someone to, well, Alex Lee already is someone to watch. But I do think we will be talking about Alex Lee in the future. But yeah, Alex Lee, another phenomenal win. On the road was Jenson Brickley in second place. However, he was given a penalty for turning Carl Boardley around, which of course dropped Carl Boardley to about 7th, which meant Matthew Wilson, he would finish 3rd, so it would be a podium anyway, but it would now be a best career finish of 2nd place. So I am going to commend Matthew Wilson. I will admit, I don't rate him very highly, but you know, commiserations where it's due. Massive congratulations to Matthew Wilson, who I do actually think thoroughly deserved that maiden podium. He probably should have got it last year. Probably as well could have had a few more this year as well. Or last year he should have had it, and this year definitely he could have had it earlier. But even so, a podium is a podium. So congratulations to Matthew Wilson, a thoroughly deserved podium. And so with Jenson Brickley's penalty, who was 3rd? Well, Bruce Winfield was 3rd, from 21st on the grid. A phenomenal drive by Bruce. However, there was an incident between him and Adam Shepherd, with those two side by side, I believe, coming into Brooklands, which is the corner just before Luffield. Bruce basically tapped the side of Adam Shepherd, breaking the rear suspension on Adam Shepherd's car and thus ruining Adam's race. Now, if Brickley was penalised, which he was, if you're going to give Brickley a penalty for what he did to Boardley, why wasn't Winfield awarded a penalty for what he did to Adam Shepherd? Now, again, you can accuse me of being biased, but at the same time, I honestly would be saying the same thing if it was anyone else. At the end of the day, Adam Shepherd, as I mentioned, is still mathematically fighting for this championship, as is Winfield. You have every right, you know, I'm all for aggressive racing. I've said multiple times, I love the aggressive nature of TCR UK the past couple of years, and I love that aggressive racing, but at the same time, too much does become too much, and there is a line which you can't cross, and I do think Winfield did cross that line in taking out Shepherd. I'm not saying it was intentional, but at the same time, he took him out of the race. So yeah, a massive unfortunate for Shepherd. But again, commiserations where commiserations is due. Bruce Winfield, 21st, I should say, to a podium. Unreal performance, which is why he is going to get one of my drivers of the race, because there is 2 I'm going to give out. Now, usually I don't do this for drivers who have DNF'd, but man, oh man, does this kid deserve it. And that is Oliver Cottam, who was, as I mentioned earlier in qualifying, unreal at Silverstone. He was set for 2nd place before the car broke down. I don't know what the issue was. If you do know, in the comments, let me know. Oliver Cottam deserves a standing ovation for his performance at Silverstone, and I'm going to keep saying it, an unreal performance, and he fully deserved that podium. He was only 2 laps away and his podium was gone. Honestly, Oliver Cottam was robbed of a podium in that second race, which is why he and Bruce Winfield get my race 2 drivers of the race. So congratulations to both of those, and I do wish Oliver Cottam all the best at Donington and Brands Hatch, and I really hope he gets that maiden podium at the end of the year. So again, as I mentioned, what a weekend. There was a lot to talk about here. So who gets my overall driver of the weekend, or driver of the day, or whatever you want to call it? Again, I don't know, but there are so many candidates I could give it out to. I think Matthew Wilson is actually one of them. Bruce Winfield is definitely one of them. Oliver Cottam is definitely one of them. JENSON BRICKLEY as well, despite the penalty, is definitely one of them. Unfortunately for Adam Shepherd, the results, I do have to count results in it, not just performance, and a little bit of bias as well. So yeah, but I think for his performance in qualifying, it should have been a pole, to be honest. It could have been a pole, it wasn't. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. At the end of the day, again, should have been a podium had it not been for the failure in race 1, and as I mentioned, 21st to 3rd, which is why Bruce Winfield gets my Silverstone TCR UK driver of the day. A huge congratulations to Bruce Winfield on that. Again, you can disagree with me all you like, but I'm open for a discussion, not an argument, a discussion. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. Of course, if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe. And if you're half new, half not, share with your mates, because it does help my channel grow, because of course, we've just actually surpassed 175 subscribers, which is a small tick to what I actually want to achieve, which is 200 subscribers by the end of the year. Please, 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 I don't like to beg, but please, can we hit 200 by the end of the year? Because that would really mean the world to me. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, thank you so much for the support on what's been quite a tough time for me and my family. Again, my mental health has been affected by this a little bit, and a bunch of other things going on, which I don't need to talk about. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for your support. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, which will be the start of my BTCC What If series. Yep, I promised it. It's coming, it's happening, and it's coming next week. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.